Your weather guy back with another video update. So just a couple days away from Thanksgiving and the start of meteorological winter, which starts on December 1st. And it looks like winter is going to be starting right on cue, coming in just in time for the start of meteorological winter. First, if you haven't yet, please hit that subscribe button and help the channel to grow. So I got the European pulled up here. So first what we're going to do is just take a look at surface weather, what to expect in the kind of the short to medium range. And then we'll take a look at more of the long range stuff that we've been talking about with this anonymously cold start to the winter for many if you're in the eastern 2/3 of the country. So let's get right into it. So here's the European. Back this up to today. So we got some snow across the Rockies over the next couple of days. And then we have a storm system that'll be I can't talk today. It will get going central part of the United States and then move east northeastward, and this is now Thanksgiving Day, and it looks like 95 you're going to be wet, no chance of snow, and then further northwest though, as you get to upstate Pennsylvania, upstate New York, and then into New England, European has this really strengthening and bringing a nice little snowstorm to parts of New England. So you're going to have like one of those old-fashioned Thanksgivings with snow on the ground and snow falling, so should be quite a scene up that way. Now, once that storm system moves through, so this is now Friday, the cold air really sets in behind this, and then look around the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes still really warm this time of year, and all this cold air traveling over the Great Lakes. The lake effect snow machine's really going to get going from Friday, and you can see right through the weekend. So if you're traveling for Thanksgiving around the Great Lakes, pay attention to that, because you could be driving along. If you've never driven through lake effect snow squall, it could go from beautiful sunny skies to blizzard conditions in just a couple miles. So that is what's going to be happening this weekend up around the Great Lakes. The weather pattern after this, we're going to have a big ridge setting up on the west coast, and so you're likely going to be pretty dry pattern going forward here, as the storm track is just not going to be into the western part of the United States. It's going to be diverted further north, and then with the trough on the east coast, we're going to have to watch for low pressure systems coming out of Canada, clipper-like systems coming down. So clippers will tend to bring light precipitation with sometimes moderate to heavy bursts. So I have to watch for those clipper systems coming out of Canada, as you can see here on the European. The track right now looks like more upper Midwest to the northeast. We'll have to watch out for that. But anytime you get these clippers, if they dive far enough south with the right trough placement on the east coast, sometimes these can bomb out and become pretty big storms. You can actually see that in the European. Where is it here? So we have a clipper system diving down, and then you can see it kind of bombing out there off the east coast. So if we sharpen up that trough a little bit and bring it a little bit further west, then places mid-Atlantic, northeast, you could be in play for a snow event. Not forecasting that at this point. Something to pay attention to. This pattern looks like it's setting up for a long duration, it would appear at this point. So we'll have to monitor those clipper-like systems to see if we get anything substantial out of them. So as far as the long range here, so we're going to have this pattern right after Thanksgiving. The cold really is going to start to set in across the eastern 2/3 of the country. You see that big ridge on the western coast of North America, that big trough on the east coast. So as we go forward in time, we see that not really changing. So this is now December 4th. Let's look at that ridge just staying in place. December 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th. Look at that. Look how big that ridge is. So whenever you have that ridge that's shoving up into northern Canada, into Alaska, what that's going to do is displace the cold air, and it's going to kind of ride down the eastern side of that ridge into the eastern 2/3 of the country. So really going to slide down east of the Rockies and then spread towards the east coast and the southeast. So first half of December looking pretty cold. Now what happens after this point, again, to be determined, but all the models, so this is the European ensembles. Let me switch over to the GFS ensembles. You can see same exact thing. Has that ridge on the western coast, placement a little bit different, but really it's the same. Western ridge there pumping up into northern Canada, into Alaska, into the Arctic regions, and then I'll pull up the Canadian ensembles as well. Similar story. Look at that huge ridge. So so this is going to be a pretty cold air mass. We'll actually flip over here. Actually, let's go to the continental United States view here, and let's go to 2-meter temperature anomalies. Look at that. Look at all that cold. So that is what you would expect when you see an upper air pattern like that, is cold air just kind of setting up, and it's not really going anywhere. It doesn't really have any place to go. And you might see some slight moderations, but then another cold air mass is going to be right on its heels at that point. So this is a pattern that looks like it's setting up. The MJO is still in the warm phases. So MJO in the warm phases, you would not expect to see this. So the MJO is not running the pattern at this point. So we'll have to watch as we go into the second half of December if we start to see an MJO response. But at that point, it might be getting into the colder phases. So if we do see an MJO response, it's just going to prolong this cold pattern. So, at this point, similarities to the winter of 2010, 2011, if you remember that winter. Similar type of thing. The MJO was in the warm phases, but a cold pattern really set up for much of the country for, December was colder than normal, and January was colder than normal, and there's a ton of snow in the eastern part of the United States. So still waiting to see on the snow, but we're very, very early in the season. If this cold air sets in, you can count on some snow chances coming down the pike. 17-18, similar. 17-18 had a cold December, and then the pattern really kind of changed in the second half of January. 2010, 2011, it changed in February. It started to warm. So the pattern did eventually break down. 13-14 was cold pretty much from the start of winter all the way through the end of winter, up until like meteorological spring. So that remains to be seen. But at this point in time, it does look like, I'm kind of, I guess, go on a limb here and say, barring a warm phase MJO response, I think we're looking at a pretty cold second, or I should say first half of the winter. And then after that, it's kind of to be determined. I wouldn't be surprised to see this breakdown, that's what we've seen in the past. But we have had winters where this pattern will just keep reloading and reloading through the end of the winter. I'm going to be looking into more signs of that in the coming videos, so please hit that subscribe button so you can get those updates. But that's it for today. Thanks for watching.